Today we're going to look at how to solve various linear equations. Here are the steps for solving a linear equation. Please note you will not necessarily do all 6 of these steps for every equation. Also, these are not the only steps that you could take. Your first step is, if you have any fractions, to multiply each term by the least common denominator. Next, if you have any parentheses, go ahead and distribute. Third, if you have any like terms on the left side of the equal sign or the right side of the equal sign, combine them. Fourth, using addition or subtraction, move your variables to one side and your constants to the other. It doesn't matter which side you put them on. I prefer the left side for my variables and the right side for my constants. Fifth, you're going to divide by the leading coefficient of the variable unless it is 1. Lastly, if you want to check your solution, substitute it into your original equation and verify that the left side equals the right side. For example, if you substitute your solution in, you should get something like 7 equals 7. If you get something like 7 equals -3, this would mean it is not the correct solution. Let's take a look at our first equation. We are trying to solve -7x plus 13 equals 41. It has no fractions, so we do not have to worry about the least common denominator. There are no parentheses, so we do not need to distribute. On the left side of the equation is -7x and plus 13. They are not like terms, so we cannot combine them. So for this particular equation, we are going to skip all the way down to step 4, and that's where we're going to move our variables to one side and our constants to the other. Now, if you look at the left side of the equation, the only variable is -7x, and there is no variable on the right side of the equation. If it helps, draw the line to separate the left and right side. We do, however, have a constant, 13, on the left side and a constant, 41, on the right side. I want my constants to be on the opposite side of the variable, so I am going to move 13 to the right side. Right now it's a positive 13, and what I want to do is to make it equal 0. So the only way to make it equal to 0 is to subtract 13. But whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. So now I'm going to combine these. So on the left side you have -7x. Positive 13 minus 13 is 0. I don't need to write plus 0. And on the right side, 41 minus 13 is 28. Now we're ready to get rid of the coefficient, which is -7. It sits in front of the x. So right now it's being multiplied, so we're going to do the opposite, which is divide by -7, and again, whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. On the left side, -7 divided by -7 is 1, and 1x is just x. On the right side, 28 divided by -7 is -4. And now we have figured out that x equals -4. If I want to check my solution, I will substitute in -4 in for x into the original equation. So I'm going to do -7 times -4 plus 13, and my hope is that that will equal 41. -7 times -4 is positive 28. 28 plus 13 is 41. So since 41 equals 41, we know we have the correct answer. If we look at our next example, we can see that we do not have any fractions, so we don't need to worry about multiplying by the least common denominator. We do, however, have parentheses, which means we need to distribute. Distribute just means that you have to multiply to more than one term. So I'm going to take the 2 and distribute to 3, so 2 times 3 is 6. And I'm also going to distribute to -4x. 2 times -4x is -8x. On the right side, 5 times -2x is -10x. And 5 times 4 is positive 20. On the left side of the equation, I have two unlike terms, and on the right side, I have two unlike terms, so I cannot combine any terms. So now we are ready to move our variables to the one side and our constants to the other. So I have a variable on the left side and the right side, so I am going to move the negative 10x to the left side. In order to do that, I need to do the opposite. So right now it's a negative 10x, so I'm going to add 10x, so that will equal 0. And I don't have to write the 0. The constant on the left is 6, and the constant on the right is 20. Since I moved my variables to the left, I'm going to take that 6 and move it to the right. Right now it is a positive 6, so I'm going to subtract 6. That way it becomes 0, and I don't need to write 0. All right, so now I'm going to combine those like terms. On the left side, negative 8x plus 10x is positive 2x. And on the right side, 20 minus 6 is 14. Now I have a coefficient of 2 sitting in front of that x. It is being multiplied, so to get rid of it, I am going to divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and I don't need to write 1x. That's the same thing as x, so x equals, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. So we get our solution is x equals 7. So now what we're going to do is we're going to check and make sure that this is correct. So over here on the right side, let's go ahead and check our answer. So we're going to substitute in 7 for both of these x's and make sure we use parentheses. So we're going to do 2 times 3 minus 4 times 7 equals 5 times negative 2 times 7 plus 4. And we're going to start and follow order of operations. So inside those parentheses, I have 4 times 7, which is 28. And on the right side, we have a negative 2 times 7, which is negative 14. Let me erase that because I said negative 28, but I did not write negative 28. So now we're going to do 3 minus 28, which is negative 25. We're going to do negative 14 plus 4 right here, which is negative 10. Now I'm going to do 2 times negative 25, which is negative 50. And 5 times negative 10 is also negative 50. So since the left side equals the right side, we know that 7 is indeed our solution. With our third example, you can see we have a fraction. So there are two ways to handle that. One, and a lot of you I think would probably go straight to distributing, and that can be a good idea, but could also be a bad idea. It just depends on your numbers. So if we were to distribute 1/3, 3 goes into both 6 and 15 evenly, which would actually simplify this problem. However, if your fraction was not 1/3, let's say it was 1/7, what that would do would be to create more fractions. So distributing, although it will work, you're going to create more fractions, and that may make it a little bit more complicated. So I'm going to show you how to get rid of that 1/3 within your first step. So let me write the equation down. We've got 1/3 times 6x minus 15 equals 11. So the first step is going to be to multiply by your least common denominator. And you're going to do that to every term on both sides of the equation. Well, the good news is we only have one denominator, so our least common denominator, or LCD, is going to be 3. Now, on the left side of the equation, all of that, the 1/3 times 6x minus 15, all of that is one term because it's joined with multiplication. So I'm actually only going to multiply by 3 one time. On the right side, I think it's pretty clear that 11 is only one term, so I'm going to multiply by 3 one time. So instead of distributing, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply 3 times 1/3, which becomes 3 over 3, or 1. So essentially what happens is that cancels out, as you guys like to say. So that's going to leave me with 6x minus 15 equals, and then on the right side I need to do 11 times 3, which is 33. Now this looks just like our first example. We have no parentheses now because multiplying by the LCD got rid of them. We have no like terms on the left side. We have no like terms on the right side. So now we are going to get our variables to one side, which they already are because there's only one variable, 6x. And then we're going to get that negative 15 over to the right side. So I'm going to do the opposite of minus 15, which is plus 15. And I'm going to remember to do it to the right side as well. So remember, if it helps you, draw the line. If you don't need the line, don't draw it. So on the left side, that's going to leave me with 6x plus 0. I don't need to write plus 0. And 33 plus 15 on the right side is going to be 48. Now I have this coefficient of 6 sitting in front of x, so I am going to divide by 6. And 6 divided by 6 is 1. 1x is just x. And on the right side, 48 divided by 6 is 8. So we get that our solution is x equals 8. Of course, I'm going to have you check it by substituting the 8 back in for the x in the original problem. So I'm going to do 1/3 times 6 times 8 minus 15. And our hopes is that it will equal 11. So I'm going to start right here first. Inside those parentheses, 6 times 8 is 48. Then we're going to do 48 minus 15, which is 33, equals 11. Then we're going to multiply 1/3 times 33. When you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across, so that would be 33 over 3 equals 11. And then finally, 33 divided by 3, well, that is 11. So since 11 does indeed equal 11, we know our solution of 8 is correct. All right, our last example has a lot of fractions. Please don't let that freak you out. We're going to get rid of them in the very first step. In order to do that, we need to decide what the least common denominator is. So I am going to look at all three of my denominators, 2, 4, and 3. The least common denominator is the smallest number that each of those numbers divides into. So I start with my largest number and I think of its multiples. So its first multiple is 4. 2 goes into 4, but 3 does not go into 4. So I go to its next multiple, 8. 2 goes into 8, but 3 does not go into 8. Go to its next multiple, 12. 2 goes into 12 and 3 goes into 12. So 12 is going to be my least common denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply all terms by the least common denominator. On the left side, there are 2 terms, and same as the right side. So I am going to do 12 times 1/2 x plus 12 times 3x over 4 equals 12 times 4/3 x plus 12 times 1. It's really important that you multiply all terms by that least common denominator. So now I'm going to multiply them. There are 2 ways to do it. If it helps you to put them all over 1, then do that. And when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across. So on our first one, it would be 12 over 2, which is 6x. The other thing you can do is you can divide the denominator into the numerator. So 2 goes into 12 6 times, and then do 6 times 1x. On our next term, we have 12 times 3, which is 36. 1 times 4 is 4, and 36 over 4 is 9, so that's plus 9x. You can also do 4 into 12 is 3, and 3 times 3x is 9x. Equals, the next one, 12 times 4 is 48, 1 times 3 is 3, 48 over 3 is 16, or you can do 3 into 12 4 times, and 4 times 4x is 16x. And then for our last term, 12 times 1 is 12. Okay, so On the left side, we have 6x and 9x. Those are like terms, so we're going to combine them together. Here, you just combine them. You add them, you follow whatever the signs tell you to do. Don't try to move it to the other side since they're already on the same side. So 6 plus 9x is 15x. On the right side, our terms are not like, so I'm just going to bring them down. So now we have both a variable on the left side and the right side, and then we only have a constant on the right side. So I'm going to move this 16x on the right side to the left side. It is a positive 16x, so to get rid of it, I'm going to subtract 16x. That way it equals 0. So now on the left side, I have 15x minus 16. That's going to be negative x, or negative 1x, equals 0 plus 12, which is just 12. Now, we can't leave our answer as negative x, so think of that as a negative 1x. So we are going to divide both sides by negative 1, and we are going to get x equals negative 12 for our solution. Like always, we can certainly check it by plugging it back in. I don't have a lot of space, but I'm going to do my best. So I've got 1/2 times negative 12 plus 3 times negative 12 over 4 equals 4 over 3 times negative 12 and then plus 1. I apologize for the handwriting. So 1/2 times negative 12 is negative 12 over 2, or negative 6. 3 times negative 12 is negative 36, and negative 36 divided by 4 is negative 9. 4 times negative 12 is negative 48, and negative 48 divided by 3 is negative 16, and then plus 1. So negative 6 minus 9 is negative 15, and negative 16 plus 1 is negative 15. I got negative 15 on both sides, so we know that our solution x equals negative 12 is correct.